Zarkowski, and I am a cultural affairs officer in the U.S. Embassy here in Russia. And today I have for you Daniel White, also known as the Black Alation. Daniel joined us today as part of our MLK Today series, where we're talking to people who embody the spirit of Martin Luther King Jr., who are working towards things that make things more equal, or work on diversity and inclusion, or who are helping people enjoy life and making sure that all of us get a chance at things. So tonight we're going to talk to Daniel about his love of hiking, cycling, outdoorsmen. And for example, he hiked the Appalachian Trail, which in the US is over 3,500 kilometers. It goes from Georgia, which is Georgia borders Florida, which is a southern state, almost the most southern state, all the way to Maine, which is the most northern state on the east coast of the US. And then he also cycled the Underground Railroad path, which, as you may know, the Underground Railroad was a voyage. It was not necessarily under the ground. It was in swamps, it was in barns, it was in backyards. It was a trip that African-American slaves, Black slaves in America took from usually the southern states to the northern states, and sometimes all the way to Canada. So in this situation, Daniel bicycled from Alabama all the way to Maine, all the way to Canada, past Maine to Canada. And that was over 3,000 kilometers. So I'm so excited to talk to Daniel tonight. He's going to show us some of his pictures and talk to us. And then as soon as you have questions, just send them my way, and then we'll ask him our questions. So Daniel, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for having me. Definitely appreciate the opportunity to speak with you all. My name is Daniel White, most known as the Black Alation. I got that name. One day I just randomly decided to hike the Appalachian Trail. No hiking experience, no camping experience. I had never spent the night out in the woods, anything. Just so happened I posted randomly one day on Facebook. I wonder what it'd be like to survive in the woods. I wonder if I can go do it. And my cousin, he suggested go hike the Appalachian Trail. I grew up about an hour away from the Appalachian Trail all my life. I didn't really know anything about it. And I started looking it up. And I guess like 3 to 4 months later, I was starting the Appalachian Trail. It was a totally different journey, just different way of lifestyle of living than I had ever come accustomed to. Just being out there them first couple nights, trying to figure out what those noises was outside of my tent. I hadn't even slept in my tent until I started the Appalachian Trail. So just that learning curve of getting out there. And then also being a Black man, I didn't see any person that looked like me. So that was something to get used to. And being out in the woods in the middle of nowhere, having to figure out how I'm gonna get water, how to make it to my campsite, how to set up my tent properly, all these types of things on the fly, with no guidance. So everything that I could learn, I found out through like watching YouTube a couple months before I started on my journey, and just tried to figure everything out. I watched a lot of videos with my mom, trying to figure out how I was going to even make this journey. And just once I got out there, instantly I found a love for it. I was like, oh, wait a minute. I probably should have been doing this a long time ago. So just moving along with the trail, 6 months it took me to do that trail, 190 days, being out in the woods. I had to face a lot of my demons. I had to face a lot of things, but I was finding growth along the way. I was meeting all these different types of people. And then I YouTube my journey, so that made it a little bit interesting as well. I would have people chase me down in the woods. Hey, Black Alation. And that's kind of scary a little bit if you just don't know who the person is and they running out just yelling your name in the middle of the woods. But it took some getting used to. So just being able to meet people from all walks of life, I got best friends now that's 65 years old that wear kilts, that I would never met, just in my daily life. So the Appalachian Trail definitely changed my life. And ever since then, I wanted to find a journey that connected more. So that led me to the Underground Railroad Trail, just trying to find something that connected more to my heritage and my spirit, because I learned hiking the Appalachian Trail that a lot of people had been doing this and planning for this for years and years, all their life. Their parents might have hiked the Appalachian Trail before, grandparents might have hiked it before them. And I didn't have that connection. I told you I only learned about the trail 3 months prior to getting on the trail. So I wanted to find something that connected a little bit more. So I found the Underground Railroad bike trail. Like she said, Jihan said, it was 2,000 miles here. You said over 3,000 kilometers there. I'm still trying to make that conversion. But yeah, so that took 49 days, a lot quicker than the hike of the Appalachian Trail. But it was a totally different type of journey. On the third day, I got hit. I got sideswiped by a car on the highway. That was a little bit interesting. And the guy, he picked me up. He stopped. He picked me up. He drove me into town. And all the police came rushing into town to check and see if I was okay. Thank you to the guys down in Alabama. So that was a little bit different to get used to, switching from being in the woods and not have to worry about anything but bears and, snakes here and there, a little rattlesnake here and there you can avoid. But it's hard to avoid a car. So that was my third day, but I kept pushing. And it was just a really strong trip. I'll show some pictures from that. As being able to go down into an actual Underground Railroad stop where enslaved people hid on their way to freedom. And move along. I got a private tour of a church that's been standing since the 1800s that was there. And I got to tour that and see that and stop at Harriet Tubman's house at the end. A lot of you may know the Underground Railroad is synonymous with Harriet Tubman. She led, I don't even know the amount of slaves that she led to freedom up there. And she would go lead them to freedom, come back and do it again. So she was really a strong, phenomenal woman. So I got to stop at her home where she ended her days and, lived out her life and allowed free slaves to come live with her up in Albany, New York, I want to say, or Auburn, New York. So I got to stop there with my mother and we got a private tour of her home. So that was really powerful. So from there, I just kind of, I wanted to, kind of combine my journeys with the sense of history. So, okay, now I've touched on the American slavery part of the African, culture and stuff like that, but I wanted to go a little bit further. So I looked up next for my journey was I went to Scotland. I got invited to Scotland. Never been across out of the country. So that was really cool. I was 33, 34 years old with a passport. So that was really cool to go spend 2 weeks hiking coast to coast across Scotland. Again, one of the only black guys I probably saw. I think I'm the only black person I saw besides a woman that I met at the end of my journey, but she wasn't a hiker, just she was living there. So just really cool to be able to go experience these places, but I'm also noticing that I'm kind of the only black guy or one of the only black guys out there. So I think it's important for me to, voice that and get people outside, because I get a lot of questions about going outside and people just don't know where to start because they don't see representation of themselves out there. So that's why it's important for me to do these journeys. But however, so I got to hike coast to coast across Scotland 2 weeks. And then a month later, I was back across the pond, as we say over here in America. And I was in Spain hiking the Camino de Santiago, which was, let's see, I got this one, 809 kilometers. So I hiked 809 kilometers. That's 535 miles roughly and over here. And so that was really cool. That was like a month-long trip. It's like a pilgrimage hike. But I wanted to go over there because I also knew that African and Moorish Empire had came over there and they ruled over Spain for about 700-800 years. And so they left a lot of remnants. They built a lot of cities. They built mosques. They built a lot of infrastructure through Spain, especially through southern Spain, central Spain. But it's just been evidence found that I think they just found like a huge mass grave, and they're all the bodies were buried in Muslim fashion. So it's a lot more investigation to go on. That's up in Basque Country, the part that I hiked across northern Spain. So it's really beautiful hike. I was able to stumble across in this really small town, a Black Madonna. I never saw a Black Madonna in my life. It was really cool to see, and I was like, it's really old, and so it's like just being able to go and combine history, adventure, traveling.
If you have any questions, please send them in and we can ask once we get back going. I think there might have been a connection issue, but it's pretty fascinating, the story. And I know that Daniel mentioned Harriet Tubman, and okay, we're back. Harriet Tubman is one of my favorite people of all time. I could talk about her all night long. She
Got kicked off.
Yep. Welcome back. That's okay. It happens.
Okay. Okay. I forgot where I was. I got threw off.
Camino Santiago in Spain, and it was beautiful. And
yes, yeah. So just to be able to travel the Camino, Scotland, and just be able to go these places, it's a blessing. And be able to come back and share this journey and share this with people that may not have the opportunity to do this or hadn't had this on their radar, I think is really important. And just be able to make your world a lot smaller. I was able to meet people from the Congo and Spain and Scotland and everything that I still speak to this day. So it makes my world a little bit smaller. If they come here, then they have a friend in me, and likewise, if I go, across the world, then it just makes your world a little bit smaller, and it makes your experience a little bit better, in my opinion. So, just that's me in a nutshell. Just these last 4 years. And I just finished up like a 15,000-mile road trip last summer because I wasn't able to hike due to coronavirus and everything. Just getting everything going. So yeah, I just, all across America, the western coast of America, North America, United States of America. I gotta make sure I'm very specific because I'm talking to a different country. So yeah, just being able to go through and see the Grand Canyon and Antelope Canyon and places that I've always watched on TV but never thought about going to. So it's very important to get out and explore your backyard as well. It's good to go see things in other countries, but your backyard is beautiful because as I'm speaking to you all there in were you in Moscow? I've been looking up
Moscow, Yekaterinburg, Vladivostok, where you're kind of streaming it all over the country.
Gotcha. Yeah. So my latest thing, I've been looking up a journey that goes from Africa up to Russia. It's I think the longest walkable road in the world or something like that. I want to say it's like 35,000 kilometers or something like that. But I think that's on my radar for sure. So I would love to meet a few of y'all when I get over that way.
I think it ends in Cape Town, right? Or starts in Cape Town to Russia.
Yes.
Okay.
I think that's like a 2 or 3 year trip, probably.
Yeah, I just recently heard someone talking about that. So yeah, no, more power to you. And I know people along the way, so we can figure something out.
Cool.
Embassies, of course. All right. Well, do you want to show your pictures, or do you want me to start asking questions while you show pictures? Or maybe you can show your pictures, talk about them, and then I'll start asking questions.
Okay, sounds good. Give me one moment.
While we wait, we were talking about Harriet Tubman. She is awesome and amazing, and she took slaves. She rescued herself, and she took herself to the north, and then she came back and got more people, even including her parents. She brought them across. I was just talking to Paz, but I'll pass it to Daniel.
Okay, 1 second. Okay, here we go. So this first picture is me from the end of my first trip, Appalachian Trail. At the end of the last mountain is called Katahdin. It's in Baxter State Park. This is the one right here. Mama K is what people call it. So we wait 6 months. We walk 6 months just trying to get here, and talk about the journey. This is the end point here. So this next picture here is at Mount Bigelow, just on a nice cold frosty day. Everything up there was frozen, including my fingertips and everything like that. So yeah, good times. This next picture is me up in Maine, again on the Appalachian Trail. This is the start of my Underground Railroad bike trip down in Mobile, Alabama. As you can see, the fresh fresh legs and everything. By the end of that trip, I looked a little bit more wild and rugged, but you know, that's how all these journeys tend to go. This is in front of the old slave market, as you can see here. And yes, in Mobile. This is the stop that I told you about in New Albany, Indiana. It's an actual Underground Railroad stop. I got to go down there and just being able to touch that soil with my hands that, you know, my ancestors had to come through that spot right there. You know, that's really, really powerful. So that was a really emotional trip, just being able to go back and touch that history, because you hear a lot about like, why don't more people of color and Black people hike and go outside, but the Underground Railroad is a testament to Black people being able to get outside and hike and camp, because, you know, who can camp better than someone that's being chased and have to camp and do that covertly and survive and still live. So yeah, it was important for me to share that. This is me standing in front of a statue of York. York is a man who went along with Lewis and Clark on the expedition across United States to the western coast of America to reach the Pacific Ocean. And he doesn't get a lot of credit. Before this trip, I had never heard about him, but he went along with him. And, you know, it's just, I think it's very important to understand that these figures exist in history. To, like I said, representation matters. It's good to see yourself and know your history. This is me again on the Appalachian Trail. Top Franconia Ridge up in New Hampshire is one of the more iconic spots, I guess you can say, on the Appalachian Trail. This is me at the Grand Canyon, hair flying and everything. You know, I didn't stage it like that. It's just a little windy up there at the Grand Canyon. Beautiful views. This is from the road trip this summer, last summer. This is me at the start of my Camino hike at the Spain-France border in Irún, Spain. Again, beautiful countryside. If you ever get a chance to go hike the Camino de Santiago, they have about 9 or 10 routes. It is a pilgrimage journey that dates back over 1,000 years. Celebrates the Reconquista, which is the conquering of Spain back from the Moorish Empire, Moorish and African forces. Yes. Me once again, day 2 on my Camino de Santiago hike. This is a few miles outside of San Sebastian in Basque Country. Again, day 2, San Sebastian, Spain, Basque Country. Nice, beautiful, blue water, beautiful. This is me at the end of my Camino de Santiago hike. This is all the routes of the Camino de Santiago. They culminate here at Santiago de Compostela. Again, as I said, it's a pilgrimage route, so you know you'll see a lot of people here. It's a lot of Catholic, you know, influence in this town. Beautiful architecture all through the city. So once again, I would suggest you go visit if you have a chance. This is me from this summer, last summer. Short 30, 40-mile hike on the Pacific Crest Trail. I'm standing in front of that mountain in the background right there is Y East, also known as Mount Hood. Beautiful hike if you ever get a chance. Once again, every place that I've been, I highly recommend for anybody to go, for sure. This is me, once again, summer road trip of 2020 at the Bonneville Salt Flats. This behind me right there is where they do the land speed trials. So you could hear the engines from way back there where I was at. Those cars be going, I don't know, 200, 300 mile an hour down there. It's perfect land for that. Here's me once again last summer with my mountain bike. I just recently got into mountain biking. I'm trying to take up new sports. So this is me on the Colorado Trail. Mountain biking is a totally different beast. It takes all your muscles. So definitely want to get more into that. Really cool sport. This is me, Colorado, climbing a 14,000 foot peak. Over here in America, we got a thing for peak bagging culture. I'm not a huge fan of peak bagging culture. However, it's really cool to get up to 14,000 feet. It's a lot of people that go chase all the 14,000 foot peaks in Colorado and like I think they have a 4,000 footer challenge in Maine. So yeah, we love our challenges over here in America. This is me mountain biking once again down in Moab, Utah. Moab, Utah is known for the world known, mountain biking spot. They have mountain biking trails such as the whole Enchilada, which is really cool. It routes you over these really crazy ledges over top of the Colorado River. Not for the faint of heart, for sure, but very beautiful if you get a chance to go. This is me once again. Recently got into a new sport, rock climbing. I actually may go out this week, do a little bit of rock climbing, just trying to get into new things. I plan on trying to climb El Capitan in a few years. I just got to work my skills up and put in the time and hours for sure. This is me, Utah, Jacob Hamlin Arch. Really beautiful spot, world renowned, one of those once again. And I think this is me at Antelope Canyon, Arizona, right outside of, I can't think of the name of it. Page, Arizona. It's an indigenous spot. Very, very beautiful. I would like to bring awareness that a lot of people, mark graffiti on these beautiful areas, and I would discourage that because we want to just preserve them for, future generations and stuff like that. And yeah, those are my pictures. If you have any questions about those, feel free to ask. I hope I wasn't too long-winded.
No, that is amazing. So we do have questions. I think I'm going to start with, there's a question about how quarantine affected your training and traveling plans.
Well, I had to cancel a lot. I had a lot on schedule. I was actually supposed to be hiking the Pacific Crest Trail, the whole thing, going southbound from the Canadian border down to the Mexican border, which is 2,650 miles. I'm not sure the conversion. So I put that on hold because I just didn't feel great about going into all those small towns. Like I said, I did a road trip, but I did a lot of paying for my gas at the pump. And when I would just go like resupply, like maybe once a week, I always wear my mask and everything. I was way deep in the backcountry, and I tried to stay deep in the backcountry the entire time. So it affected a lot. Wasn't able to travel at all, especially outside of the country. I think the last time I got out was last February. I went to Puerto Rico for a few days with my brother. So yeah, it put everything on hold. You just kind of gotta be as responsible as possible. But also, man, this is like more than just like this is my lifestyle. Like, so it's really tough for me to stay inside. So I'm just trying to be responsible as possible, I guess.
Yeah, it sounds like you're being responsible and doing what you can do and planning for the future for when you can do the rest. So someone asked about, what do you eat along the way?
Oh man, it varies. I think and it just depends on the journey. On the Appalachian Trail, I ate a lot of instant ramen noodles, man, a lot. Just put them in a bag and some cheese on them and call it a day. But since then, I've kind of tried to step it up. So I eat prepackaged meals, non-dehydrated meals, a little bit more. Summer sausage, I carried a frying pan with me, so I would cook summer sausage while everybody's eating like cold oatmeal at the campsite. I'm frying up summer sausage, and it's like, oh man, But then when I went to Spain, I got to try out the local food and eat a lot of pinchos and tapas and stuff like that, and just try out the local fare. Great fresh bread. I noticed from my time in Europe, y'all do food right. It's a lot of freshness over there, so I can appreciate that. So yeah, it just depends where you're at.
Right. Okay. And so I have a question. Folks, so when you're bringing your food, are you taking everything with you, or are you doing the supply stops? Are people mailing you things along the way, or do you have to resupply yourself every time you run low? Or
I found it's easier to just resupply along the way. People send you boxes and stuff, and then by the time the boxes get there, your taste has changed. So you might not. I know people that may have packaged everything for a 6-month hike and send it to themselves along the way. If that works for you, that's fine. For me, my taste have changed along the way, so I might want something different. So it's just better to resupply along the way.
okay. And what about like your shoes? Do you run through shoes for the Appalachian Trail? Did you have 1 or 2, 3 shoes?
I think Appalachian Trail, I think I went through like 5 pair of shoes.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a couple of them, like my feet hanging out. I had the duct tape and everything, and keep pushing till you get to a actual store where you can get some shoes or get some ordered and sent to you. So yeah, you definitely run through them. It's a section in on the Appalachian Trail in Pennsylvania. You know, they call it Rocksylvania because it's just boulders every day, all day. So yeah, you're gonna run through a few pair of shoes. You know.
Wow. Somebody asked, how much money did you spend on this trip? If you don't want to get specifics, you could just say like a range of how much does it cost to do the Appalachian Trail or this Camino Santiago.
Well, it just depends. Appalachian Trail, I want to say maybe 3-4 thousand. Camino, around the same. It just depends on what you want to, because you can do it for a lot cheaper. You can do it for, I heard some people doing it for $1 a mile. So you can. It just depends on what you want.
Right. And I guess you could step off the trail and sleep in a hotel every once in a while if you want to spend that kind of money, or you could sleep in your tent the whole time. It just depends on how much
Yeah,
money you want to put into it.
for sure. But yeah, you're definitely gonna go into town every once in a while, and I would say once a week. I would try to go into town at least once a week, and wash clothes, resupply, and get everything, all your chores and stuff done, and yeah.
Yeah. And someone asked, what do you think about while you're traveling?
Oh, I'm just in the moment for the most part because you got to worry about lodging and getting where you're going for the night. That's probably I spend a lot of my time worrying about where I'm asleep, and so if I can wake up and get that out of the way, especially like if I'm in Spain or somewhere like on that hike, you were supposed to stay in like little hostels along the way, so you weren't supposed to. It's not a lot of like wild camping in Spain, so you kind of got to make sure you get to where you're going. Now, if you're hiking on the Appalachian Trail, you just know all kind of got to make it these miles this day. So, and then if you're not thinking about that, you got every thought running through your head. You do a lot of soul searching. You got a lot of growth, inner growth, just because you're just facing everything eventually. So, yeah, it's a journey.
Right. And so I imagine you have to think, where am I going to sleep? If you're hiking, I want to hike this many miles or kilometers to get to this place, which is the best place to sleep. I don't want to, or before it starts raining or snowing, or I want to get cover this time. So you have a lot of strategy to work on. It's not just like, oh, la, la. You have to strategize it.
It's a little bit of that mixed in, but not, yeah, you kind of got to be locked in and focused on what you're doing because, I mean, you're in the middle of the woods sometimes, you can get hurt and, there's nobody out there to come pick you up and save you. Even if you do call for help and rescue, it's going to take them hours to get to you. So you got to kind of be aware of your surroundings and what you're doing and be focused.
Right. Okay. So people are curious about what's your next trip going to be? What's your plan for 2021? Tell me you got a vaccination, COVID looks good plan, and if COVID doesn't get better plan.
I've been looking at New Zealand. I would love to go hike the Te Aurora. It's hard for me to pronounce that. I'll probably butcher it. But yeah, I just call it the TA. It's about a 2,000-mile hike north to south, or you can go the other way across New Zealand. So that's a really good hike I've been looking at. I also been looking at a route in Patagonia that's 1,700 miles. So that's a good one. And like I said, from Cape Town up to Russia, I'm truly serious about that. I think people think I'm kidding about that one. I don't know, but yeah. And also, I think what's next on my plate, I have a homestead fund going. I'm trying to start a homestead up in Maine, buy a few acres, and just start a homestead. I want to gift a few acres to a few different people and that's willing to come up and help, just build the property up. Just like maybe 5 or 10 acres and just make it small. And then I want to designate a section of that and have it as like a youth wilderness camp for like children of color and, inner city kids, and bring them up there and teach them outdoor wilderness skills. And then also things to do with like homesteading, like beekeeping and carpentry and all that and farming. So that's what I'm working on next. I've raised about $12,000 for it. So I have that going on now, and I plan on trying to go purchase a property this summer. So that's what's really next for this year.
Awesome. Yeah, that's amazing. And all that stuff, like it's on your Instagram account. People can follow you and they can find out what you're doing and,
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. I have a question. So once I was trail running with a friend who happened to be white, and we were on federal property, and then next to us was private property, signs like "Do not enter, private property, private property." But the grass was so soft on that side, so she jumped over the fence and she started running. She was like, "Come on!" And I was so hesitant because I was like, "Yeah, that said do not enter. That said private property. They're gonna come looking at us. We're gonna get in trouble." And I was like, "We can't do it." And she was like, "You're paranoid. We're just running. We're not doing anything wrong." Did you? And I had that moment where I was like, "Oh, that's because I'm a black trail runner. I have a different, like, I was raised, my parents like, you can't do this, and I'm afraid things are going to happen." Have you ever had that moment where you say, I'm a cyclist, I'm a hiker, I'm an outdoorsman, but I'm also a black hiker, a black cyclist, I'm a black outdoorsman? Did those things ever come in your head or situations?
Oh, well, yeah, that circles back to that question that they just asked. So that's running through my head 24/7. I'm always cognizant of that. So that goes into every part of the process from planning my trips. Like I wanted to go out a couple of weeks ago, but it was just too close to the inauguration. And after everything that happened at the Capitol, it's like, no, I don't think I want to be out in the woods right now. So yeah, definitely. And people are like, my white friends were like, maybe that's the best place to be. And I'm like, so you're not understanding that it's a different level, like right now. So this is the things that I have to take precaution. I've had situations on the trail like that actually at the Mason-Dixon line, which is in America from 1800s, where that was like the line that separated the free states from the slave states. So it's ironic that at 17 I had a run-in with a pack of braces at that spot right there, on the Appalachian Trail. So, yeah, it's definitely something that's always in the back of your, for sure,
Right. Yeah. I mean, things are better, but you have to keep aware of things that could possibly happen.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. So let's get back to some fun stuff. What's the most interesting food you've ever tasted on your travels?
Oh, haggis in Scotland. Yes, haggis. Once I realized what it was, I'm like, oh, that's just like something like liver mush over here in America. So yeah, let's try it. So definitely like haggis and just the whole full English breakfast. That was one of my favorites. Yeah.
Oh yeah. All right. So where have you never been before but you want to go? You kind of already told us. Was there anywhere else that you have never been but you want to go?
South America. I did a lot of research on Mansa Musa and his predecessor, and I want to say his predecessor. I can't call his name off the top of my head, but he sent like 300 or 400 ships over to search for what turned out to be the Americas, and that's around the same time you start seeing the African influence show up in the Americas, as far as like the Olmec heads and stuff like that. And so I would love to go like search for just history. Like I love trying to just search for my history, because being African American, you kind of cut off from your history. So I always want to search and go further because like one of the guys I went with to Scotland, he had Scottish heritage, and he said he could trace his family lineage back to an actual castle over there. And I was like, wow, how cool is that? So yeah, I'm just always on the search for stuff like that.
Yeah, no, that's really true. I know once I went to this event with some Girl Scouts, and they were all supposed to put their flag where they came from. And the black Girl Scouts were like, "Where do we put our flag? Like just on the continent of Africa? Like where do we put it?" And now the little girls like, "Oh, my family's from Italy, or my family's from Scotland, my family's from Ireland." And it is, we don't actually know sometimes, but they have the wrong. My sister did one, and she figured out the percentages of everywhere, based on the DNA test, which I guess is right.
Yeah.
All right, so we got a question about the dangerous moments on your trip. What's been the most dangerous moments? You mentioned that pack of people at the Mason-Dixon line, but what are any other dangerous moments with maybe bears or mountain lions or snakes?
Yeah, just a lot of bears.
All right. I don't like to bike anywhere with their cars, so I don't bike that much. So we have a question about, you kind of talked to this a little bit, but someone wanted to know, have you had any trouble based on your appearance? Have you had any, run-ins, anything that could happen that you might think? I mean, you kind of mentioned the Mason-Dixon line issue, but
No, I mean, it's just always like, it's just the little comments and stuff. Sometimes, people take pictures of me sometimes, but it's like, then I kind of stand out too. I'm like 6'3", yeah. I got these wild dreads, I got gold teeth. So I know you're not used to seeing me out here in the world. I get it, so I'm not really I'm not really tripping. It's like, it's whatever, you know.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it's, that's why you're there too. This people see everyone's out here. Everyone can hike. Everyone should be out here. And so at some point, there'll be lots of guys with dreads and gold fronts hiking the Appalachian Trail, and they
Absolutely.
won't even like blink an eye when they see that person coming.
That's the hope, for
Yeah.
sure.
All right. And someone wants to know the main message of your trips. What's your main message? You have a message, I guess.
Oh, love and light.
Mhm.
You know, that's how we just keep this thing moving and going. Because I feel like the only way I'm able to make it through these trips is with love and light. It's no way I could just wallow in like, oh, the world is this way, and like, okay, it is, but so what? How are we gonna push forward? So you kind of gotta like just be the light. So that's how I've been able to just move forward, and that's how I make it through these trips. Like sometimes I don't have enough money to get through these trips, but just want the help of the community and people, like we make it through. It's always a way. So I always figure out a way, and the only way is moving right. I'm not taking nothing from the earth. I don't litter. I'm not trying to like tear plants down. I'm not ripping nothing out the ground when I go outside or nothing like that. So I think it's just that yin and yang. I think that, so that's my message.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a great message. Like, we should all put that in everything, hiking or cycling or not, loving life and, respecting the earth and treating people well and just kind of learning and moving on.
Yeah.
So I have another question. Well, I was going to say to everyone who doesn't know, like the Appalachian Trail, like I looked it up, over 3,000 people try to do it every year, but less than 20% actually finish it. Like
Correct.
it's a long, it's an amazing endeavor. It's just not like a straight hike. It's climbing and it's, like you said, you had some areas of boulders and stuff. So did you ever have moments where you wanted to quit, where you thought, you know what, I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna finish this next year, or, I'm not doing this right now?
No, not really. Like you got bad days, but it's like, nah, man, I went too far. And then once again, like people helped me out. They had sent me money and donated money. And I'm like, man, I took these people money. Like we got to keep pushing. But also it wasn't. So it was just it was a combination of all that. And it's like I done made it this far. Why stop now? And I'm like, yeah, of course it's rained for 4 or 5 days straight. Yeah, it's miserable right now. But I know also as I keep going on, it's gonna be like it's because I've experienced so much beauty and so much growth. Like, no, it's no point to stop. So nah, I don't quitting is not an option.
Awesome. Yeah. That's a great moral for life, Like joy will come in the morning eventually. It might rain a couple of days, but it's gonna be sunny again. It can't rain every day.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And rain is good too. It gives feed the earth and
For
stuff.
sure.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm waiting to see if we get any more. Oh, another question. What's the best place you stayed in? Can you answer that? The best place, or maybe your top 3 places, what's the best place you stayed in?
Oh, I would say one of the top ones was my first night on the Camino. I hiked all day, and then one thing I figured out about Spain and Scotland, like y'all got way more sunlight than I do down here in North Carolina. So I was like, oh wow, I just find myself walking into the night. So I walked about 10:30 at night and got into this town, Oreo, Spain, and walked up on this like 15th century church and ran into these 2 older guys. They were out there. They were staying out there, and I just kicked it with them all night, and it was just really cool. That was my like introduction to Spain, from 2 foreigners that were there. They were displaced, and they took me in like one of their own, and we kicked it, and we were able to communicate. And that was really cool. So that I would want to say Utah. Utah surprised me just as a state overall. I never in my life thought about traveling to Utah, and it was one of the most beautiful places I've ever been. And number 3, Maine, the 100-mile wilderness, which is why I want to move to Maine now, because it's just untouched, untapped wilderness. It's closest thing in America that you're gonna get to wild besides, I guess, Alaska. So it's really beautiful, and there's not a lot of roads. So yeah, just that being that pristine, what you see on National Geographic type, stuff, wilderness. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. But Maine is a place I've thought about living one day too. So it's good to know that. It's just the cold, the winters. So
Yeah.
Tell me the time of year again when you started the Appalachian and when you finished it, like the trail.
I started April 17th,
Okay.
2017, and I finished October 20th. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
So
Pacific Crest, would you do it? When would you spend the winter? Would you start in the south or go north, or go north and then go south?
I wanted to go south. I wanted to start in Canada and go south. I wanted to start like in June, July, and then finish up around November, December,
Okay,
somewhere around there.
that sounds
So
like a good
get a
plan.
little bit of snow and then finish off in the desert.
Mhm.
So that was the plan. So hopefully we'll be able to get to that soon. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I want to do so many different things. I want to do PCT, and then I want to climb El Cap, and then I want to. It's you know it's
Right.
everything. So I don't know. I'm always up for an adventure. I guess just whatever is on the plate and whatever comes next. I'm up for it.
Right. That's awesome. I don't have any more questions right now. I don't know if there's like a something you want to close with, something you want to mention to our Russian audience when they're thinking about the U.S. You from North Carolina? Is there anything you want to say? I don't know. They can.
Well, just man, if you ever get a chance to come visit North Carolina. And just come see what we got, man. And we love to have you. I know it seems like from what you see on the media and the news that we might not be the most friendly of countries with each other, but from American over here, I don't have no issues with you, and then I love to have you. Come on over.
Okay, yeah, because the U.S. is a beautiful place. Russia is a beautiful place. Unfortunately, with COVID, I wasn't able to see much of the country yet. But I'll come back. And then there's so many places in America. You mentioned Utah and Maine, North Carolina. You're welcome to go there and see, and maybe even do some hiking. And maybe you'll be hiking in America, and then you'll see the Black Elation. You'll be like, hey, I saw you on
Yeah,
AMC Live, and it'll be a full circle.
yeah. Make sure you say hi. Yeah, make sure you stop and say hi if you do, for sure.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Daniel, for joining us tonight, for this morning for you, and tonight for us. And we appreciate it. We can't wait to hear if you do that, Cape Town to Russia trip. We definitely want to have you back to talk about that and maybe live stream while you're coming into Russia.
For sure, most definitely. I would love to be back.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone who participated tonight and who listened. And make sure to follow Daniel on Instagram, Facebook. You can find out what he's doing next.
All right. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Bye-bye.